David Raskin, the protagonist, shoots a video along with his buddies to file an application for the MIT Physics Fellowship. During the presentation, he records a live demo of an intelligent propulsion drone that he has built. It is controlled via hand gestures which get routed to a computer through a smartphone connected to a Wi-Fi network. 5 weeks later, his waiting comes to a happy ending when he receives an admission approval letter from MIT. The whole family rejoices. But the moment of happiness is short-lived as David announces that he's been granted $5,000 only in financial aid and the rest $40,000 have to be borne by them. The next day his mother opines selling the house to fund his education and temporarily plans to relocate to Aunt Chloe's apartment with her daughter Christina. David objects to her idea, but his mother assures him that she won't let his talent go waste. Later that day, Christina accompanies David into the spooky-looking attic in their basement. He blindly rummages through the place in the hope to find some experimental ideas to submit for another scholarship program. Christina discovers a camcorder in running condition and the display shows David's 7th birthday celebration recordings. This is the last footage their father had filmed before he died in a car accident. David notices something strange in that video. He sees footage of himself reflecting in the mirror. His sister dismisses it, saying the person having a close resemblance could be a relative. Next, he shows the clipping to his friends Adam and Quinn, but none of them believes his bizarre claim. Later during the college lunch break he replays the same video and shows the t-shirt, backpack, and watch, all similar to what he currently possesses. Christina shows a keychain that David is holding in the scene, but strangely none of them carries such a key ring. David immediately searches his backpack and finds that it belongs to Jesse Pierce, one of his classmates. He returns the bag and tells her that it accidentally got exchanged as they looked alike. In the evening his friends arrive and assist him in figuring out the videotape mystery by recreating the scene. During their probe, they come upon an electrical switch behind the wall that lights the basement. Down there David steps into the restricted area along with his friends and finds his father's stuff. Suddenly they hear a strange clicking noise and try to locate its source. Eventually, they stumble upon a case similar to what David's father was holding in the tape. The research paper reveals that it's a project belonging to DARPA, a classified military division. They also found the schematics and equations that formed the foundation of this strange-looking device. The file reads, Project Almanac, which details the time machine prototype. Afterwards, they visit supermarket to shop electrical components and build an assembly to power the time machine. When they turn on the machine, it creates a strong electromagnetic field but couldn't sustain and the batteries explode. Once again they makeshift the necessary arrangements and attaches a display unit. But unfortunately this time also the batteries couldn't last long and become dead due to overheating. David realizes that they need hydrogen to cause fusion, else time travel wouldn't be feasible. They procure their supplies by stealing the hydrogen canisters from their school laboratory. Back at the lab, once again their attempt fails, which leads David to suggest a need for a stronger power source. At that time, Walker's party has already begun outside in their neighborhood, swarming with students. Suddenly David notices Jessie Pierce parking her car on their driveway before she goes to attend the party. An idea hits David and he asks his friends to attach a jumper cable to Jessie's car battery to draw power. In the middle of the experiment, they hear a knock on the door and the next moment Jessie enters the room. Half a way through the experiment, the power goes off and the entire neighborhood plunges into darkness. In the room, they find the toy Corvette struck on a wall. They also notice the stopwatch running 2 hours behind, and with this, they declare their experiment a success in testing the time machine. The next day during a group interaction David by chance sees a similar keychain that he was holding in the video footage, and on inquiry Jessie tells him that it is hers. During another course of the conversation, Jessie persuades David to test the device on them to experience the more practical outcomes. At last, all 5 people including David, Quinn, Adam, Jesse, and Christina join hands and preps to embark on a strange journey. With a loud boom, everyone finds themselves strewed all over the place. To check the actual effect, they all enter Quinn's house where he pokes fun on his own sleeping body. With this act, he slightly awakes and his eyes momentarily meet his future avatar, causing both to flicker. They immediately leave the place and go ecstatic about the successful testing of the time machine. While jumping back into time, a dog from a past timeline comes close enough during their time travel and gets transported to the future. En route, they see the flyers of the missing dog and realize to have changed the reality because these weren't there when they were readying for the time travel. The next day they all gathered at David's lab to discuss the use case of this technology for their personal benefit. To safely use this tech, they frame basic rules, for instance always traveling together, recording all such journeys, and keeping it all secret. A few days later they use the time machine to win a lottery worth $1.8 million. But David remains unswayed by their recent winning and soon gets busy perfecting the time machine to go farther in time. To surprise his close-knit friends, David takes them all to the Lollapalooza music festival that took place 3 months ago. After reaching there, they all go crazy and enjoy every moment of it. Here David for the first time makes a move towards Jessie, where both standing in front of a giant public art board and engages in antics. But David screws it up by not advancing to her subtle signals and she feels disheartened and deliberately avoids him. This pains David, and to mend his mistake he jumps alone in a time when Jessie is receptive towards him. This time he seizes the moment and locks his lips with her. After returning to the original timeline, David finds himself with Jessie and they've already shared a physical intimacy, but he doesn't remember it. Jessie informs that she is running short on clothes and had to leave. Then the couple cuddles each other and begins frolicking. Later, while driving her home, she tells him that her father likes and appreciates his scientific bent of mind. As the day progresses, David learns from his friends that they're responsible for the recent plane crash that killed 77 passengers. Adam explains that their basketball team captain, Justin Kelly, breaks his leg at Walker's party, but it never occurred in their original timeline. So, visiting Lollapalooza has altered the events of the present timeline and it's causing a ripple effect. He further justifies that their basketball team didn't qualify for the playoffs due to Justin Kelly's fractured leg, resulting in their parents not attending the final match, including Sarah, Nathan's father, whose son was in the team. Instead, that day his dad flew the plane and accidentally the aeroplane crashed, killing innocent lives. Next, Quinn shows recent robberies, fires, and other mishaps that have happened recently but were never there in an earlier timeline. Hence, their time travels have resulted in an uncontrollable cascading effect that is now spiraling out of control. Quinn gets desperate and urges David to put a stop to this. At this point in juncture, David fears and believes that he has opened Pandora's box. During the evening, David bumps into Adam and explains the situation, confessing that he once jumped alone into the time and holds himself responsible for recent mess. Adam is aghast by his revelation and didn't understand why he made that choice, but David dodges the question and says he has to take this step to do the course correction. David tries to take Adam into confidence and insists that he again has to time travel to fix the issue, but Adam pleads with him not to break the pact and come clean. But David expresses his inability to do so, fearing he might lose Jessie, and the next moment he jumps into time. Upon reaching there, he completes his mission of saving Justin from getting hurt in a car accident at Walker's party. When he comes back to his original timeline, he finds Adam being hospitalized in an accident and none of them know how it occurred. After doing some calculations on whiteboard, David decides to jump back alone and repair the damage caused during his last time travel. Later, David activates the time machine. In the meantime, Jessie comes to his lab and despite his repeated pleading, she approaches him and gets sucked into the portal. After getting transported into another timeline, Jessie learns that David had time traveled alone. This freaks her out and she says that his actions have unknowingly endangered lives of the team members. During the argument, she learns that David intentionally altered an event during their visit to Lollapalooza to kiss her. After listening to this whole episode, she feels betrayed and gets emotionally hurt, but eventually, they reconcile. At that very moment, another instance of Jessie enters the scene and shouts for David, and Jessie from the future timeline accidentally locks eyes with her own past. Now, all of a sudden she starts to flicker and both of them disappear into thin air. Baffled by this event, he frantically tries to jump into the time in an attempt to bring back Jessie, but fails because he runs low on hydrogen, which fails to kick-start the time machine. At the next moment, Quinn arrives at his house and informs Jessie's missing. David divulges the truth, saying he has goofed up everything and now has to go far into the past to stop all this from happening. Quinn seems clearly disturbed by his statement and appeals not to let go of the things that they've achieved so far. But despite his reluctance, David proceeds with his plans. They hear Atlanta police personnel knocking on the door and they've come looking for David. David hurriedly rushes out from the back door and records a disclosure that he didn't hurt nor kidnap anybody. And he has built a time machine. Without wasting time, he heads towards the school and breaks into the laboratory to fetch a hydrogen canister to power his time machine. The next moment he is surrounded by cops, and before they could take him into custody, he jumps into the time. He emerges at the time of his 7th birthday and goes down to the basement and meets his dad, who recognizes and congratulates him on building the time machine. During the brief chat, he informs his dad that in life there are no second chances. Once his father goes upstairs, he sets the time machine on fire and gets erased from that timeline, but the video camera is left behind. The time loop repeats itself and we witness David and his sister discover 2 video cameras in their attic. David plays the camera in his hand and they view recordings of their recent talks, which leaves them perplexed. In the final scene, we see David returning the bag to Jessie, saying, "We together will change the world." And the movie ends.